At what point do you begin to get concerned about DJ Lagway's long-term health throughout the season and the hopes that the Florida Gators season kind of riding on his shoulders?
Yeah, you get concerned about it now.
Hello and welcome in. It's always college football. Today is Thursday, July 31st. Camp is underway at several places throughout this great nation as we continue to get you prepared for the 2025 college football season. I'm your host, Greg McElroy, and we appreciate you guys coming to us from wherever it is you're coming to us from, whether it's the ESPN College Football YouTube page or if you're here with us via the podcast. Continue to encourage all of you to like, to rate, to subscribe to the show. Wherever you get the show, we much appreciate the support that you've shown us this offseason. A lot that we have to look forward to. We've done all of our tiers over the last few weeks, so if you missed any of those shows, go and download them with the podcast. You can check them out on the College Football YouTube page. But we've done tiers for every single Power 4 league. Now we're going to kind of have a big picture conversation to help us do that. We're going to bring in Matt Barrie from ESPN. He does an amazing job anchoring our coverage from the ESPN studios all throughout the weekend, but he's calling games on Thursday nights. He hosts the Matt Barrie Show here on the ESPN College Football YouTube page. So he is very much entrenched in the game. So we want to kind of get his perspective from his vantage point, where he's maybe not in the weeds as much as we are on a week-to-week basis, more high-level perspective of what's going to happen this upcoming season. So looking forward to our visit with ESPN's Matt Barrie. We welcome him in now. He is the host of the Matt Barrie Show on the ESPN College Football YouTube channel. He hosts a million sports centers. He calls the Thursday night game. He hosts College Football Final. Any other responsibilities, Matty, that I'm missing right now?
How dare you forget TGL? We've got TGL Season 2 upcoming. Can't wait for that. We've got the College Football Countdown Show Monday, Labor Day Monday from North Carolina for Bill Belichick's debut in college football. I think you got it all. I think we've got it covered there.
I think we're in good shape there.
Let's
start with Belichick. And that's not where I wanted to start, but since you're going to be there, we'll shamelessly promote your show. I plan on watching just to support my friends and, to support the sport. But I look at Belichick, and I think he's one of the more fascinating figures in the sport this year naturally. But I look at his schedule, Matty, and while the team and the roster might not be great, we could fast forward to season's end. They have one, maybe two losses, and they're playing for a spot in the playoff on the road at NC State in the final week of the season, because there's really two games right now where they will for sure be underdogs. One's against Clemson, one's likely against TCU. How do you think North Carolina is going to do?
Yeah, so let's start with the TCU game because that's the first one out of the gate, right? That's the one where everyone's going to be tuning in. It's Labor Day Monday. They have the show. My fault, dollar. And then they have the whole network to themselves. And I think you're going to really get an idea of what they're going to be under Bill Belichick. I think the TCU game is a monster because we know from being at Big 12 Media Days, TCU returns a lot. They're one of the teams that you could argue could win the league. But what's going to happen is I don't know how you feel about it. I'm still lukewarm on the Bill Belichick hire at UNC. And I think a lot of people are probably trending that way. And so for me, that game to start off the era is going to tell us a lot about what we're going to see out of them. Now, look, could they go on a little bit of a run? Because as you said, that the schedule's favorable. Yeah. Is the roster intact? Maybe. Look, playoff, you run with that. I think that they're going to be an entertaining watch. I don't know what will happen beyond this season with Belichick at UNC. I don't know what's going to happen beyond game one with them. I just know that it's going to be a fun watch. You get the greatest coach, arguably, in NFL history now on campus in our sport. And for me, that's going to be enough. But they're one of the bigger question marks coming into the season because we're enamored by the name, right? We should be. But hey, look, and he's got this. He knows how to do a salary cap. He knows all that. I can't wait. I can't wait to see what they're capable of doing. But I'm not going to go playoff with them.
I think, going playoffs aggressive. You look at the schedule, buddy. I'm telling you, you'll look at it. They get through TCU some way, somehow.
Pulling up until autoplay started getting me.
It's going to be very, very interesting, I think, for North Carolina this year. Let's get into the SEC for a minute. Florida, DJ Lagway now in a boot, according to sources, according to witnesses, going into fall camp. Remember, last year he had the shoulder injury, he had surgery in the offseason, missed spring, had the hamstring injury against Georgia last year where he was carted off the field, missed a game, remarkably returned a couple weeks later. At what point do you begin to get concerned about DJ Lagway's long-term health throughout the season and the hopes that the Florida Gators season kind of riding on his shoulders?
Yeah, you get concerned about it now. I mean that's the concern, right? If you got a player that's injury prone that now goes into the start of fall camp injured, you're thinking, oh no, not again. And it's funny, Lagway's one of those guys that seems like he's been there forever. He's been there for one season.
Yeah.
And I don't look. And I was talking to someone about this the other day out at a member guest, because those things are filled with college football fans, right? They all want to know. It was a big Miami guy, so they want to know all the ins and outs of some of the Florida schools. And I said that, and I don't know why we didn't talk about this, and it drives me nuts, but how many times during the season was everyone talking about Billy Napier getting fired? Billy Napier getting fired. Napier's not going to be there. Who's going to succeed him? That, to me, was the most impressive 8-5 season that we're not talking about because of the hardest schedule in the country. I mean, Florida in a year where they had the hardest schedule in the country with a coach that was embattled on the hot seat, they went 8-5, McElroy. And so you take the youth of that team and a quarterback that I know has been injury prone, but we know has otherworldly talent. He's the guy Napier's pinning his career on there in Gainesville. You bring a lot of that back with not as difficult of a schedule. If I'm the Gators, I'm feeling really good about it. I just can't believe that we went into a season the way that we did with Napier. They come out 8-5. I thought it was incredible what he was able to do. He was able to stop that hot seat talk for a little bit. But, yeah, the concern's going to be there with Lagway because we were excited about him, injured, banged up, excited, injured, banged up, now going into fall camp. I hope it's minor. I hope the walking boot is just a precaution like some of the reports that are out there, and we get him on the field because he's going to be one of those exciting players to watch this year.
Yeah, and in games that he finished last year, they were 6-0. So start
finish the game with that offense.
Undefeated. And I think they'll run the ball great, and the offensive line should be really good. And in the event in which he isn't at 100%, hopefully he is, I think, will be behind one of the better offensive lines in the SEC to keep him upright and to keep him safe. Let's move over to Alabama.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's starting to bubble a little bit of expectation around the Tide. I feel like for a while people were unsure, and then Grubb was hired, and they're like, okay, I feel a little better. And now as the season starts to approach, you kind of look at the landscape. It's like, man, Alabama – they're a legitimate national championship contender, and I'm not sure that was the conversation 6 months ago. So where are you right now with the Tide?
You hit it. The Grubb hire was huge. And we thought that was going to be huge before he did a cup of coffee in the NFL. Now he's back with Caleb DeBoer, the guy that he's familiar with. And you know this university in and out. And anyone who thought, and I get it, DeBoer worked wonders in his previous two stops at Fresno State and Washington, led them to the national championship game, Michael Penix, this, that, and the other. I get all that. But if there was anyone who thought that he was going to take over for Nick Saban and not have any speed bump along the way, was just naive because we've been blessed with 17 years of dominance out of the Crimson Tide. That's just what it was. I think last year was the speed bump. With everything that he's got coming back, with an offensive coordinator that knows how to call his ball plays and knows how to get his offense, with some of the moves, I'm telling you, this Isaiah Horton kid that they got from Miami in the portal, that's just another weapon. There are players there under this offense that I believe that are going to be explosive. And I don't care what anybody says, this day and age in college football, Greg, when there's a head coaching change, especially with one with that success that was there that long, the complete culture is flipped. For the guys that had been there prior to DeBoer being there, the talent's going to be different. The philosophy is going to be different. The language is going to be different. The itinerary is going to be different. The meal is going to be – it's all going to be different. Well, you know what's not going to be different? The tradition of Alabama football and the support that they have with that university. So I think DeBoer had his down year, which is scary for everybody else, because if he gets that thing going with Grubb, with the offense, with everyone coming back, with some of the portal additions, I'm so glad we don't have to say he's only 17 years old. One of the best receivers in college football. They're loaded. I mean, they're absolutely loaded. And so down year for Alabama. They almost made the playoff. I wouldn't expect any more of that coming up with DeBoer and the Crimson Tide.
Is there a concern for you? Is it the quarterback and who ultimately?
It's going to be the unknown. Look, we knew going into last year what the quarterback was going to look like. He was returning. He's a hell of a talent. He's one of those players in the NFL, if done right and developed right. We're not questioning the talent. I mean, you just look at Jalen Miller, you're like that. Look at that human being. What an impressive looking athlete. So I think we knew coming in what that was going to be. But I think a lot of the top teams around the country, is questions at quarterback. I think Alabama has a question at quarterback. Georgia and Gunner Stockton, they have a question at quarterback. I know we saw him later in the year, but that's a question mark. And I know this is blasphemous to say, what body of work have we seen out of Arch Manning in Texas? Not much. You know what we did know? We knew Quinn Ewers could run that off, and now I'm on a tangent with all these SEC quarterbacks, but that's kind of what it is coming into the season. You have question marks about new starting quarterbacks. How are they going to gel in their first year as a big-time quarterback at a big-time SEC school? And for me, that's why you have to look at a team like LSU, who has a returning quarterback in Garrett Nussmeier, who knows Brian Kelly's system, who's comfortable with it. And if you point to that, I just point around the country and find these teams that at least early on have veteran quarterbacks and maybe point to them as someone like, watch this team early, watch that team early because the quarterback is back. And you know, veteran quarterbacks, especially in college football, are going to pay dividends early.
Well, you look at LSU and you reference the veteran they have coming back at quarterback and Garrett Nussmeier. A lot of people seem to think this could be their year. I think they're absolutely in the top tier of the SEC. What do I have them? 1, 2, 3, or 4 is beside the point, but they're in the top tier. I think they'll get a chance to go to the dance at season's end. But is this the year for Brian Kelly where he feels like he's kind of pushed the chips all in and they kind of need to break through in a remarkable way?
What's this, year 4 for him now? And it seems to me that every year, I mean, he had Jaden for 2. You look at that offense, like, God, how did he not get it done with Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr.? I get it. It probably should have happened. You can do that with every LSU coach in its history with all the talent that comes through there. Last year, again, first-year starting quarterback, although Nuss had some experience, but he was first year leading them. And so this year, look, what's the one thing LSU is always going to trot out there? Talent, NFL talent. And they have that coming back again with a quarterback that's been there. There's always a team that sneaks up on you, right? It's funny to say that that's going to be LSU. I think the expectations last year for them were a little bit over. They didn't have a lot of the skill that they lost to the NFL the year before. They were developing guys that were coming in. I would never bet against LSU just because I know the talent they have there, and I probably wouldn't bet against Brian Kelly either. I know he's one of those easy coaches that people nationally, well, he hasn't gotten it done. He hasn't gotten it done. Well, it's a tough league, and it's only year 4. Let it develop. Let it cook. Let things happen. And this could be the year where you look at it and say, there they are. There's LSU. They're going to be a thorn in people's side for years to come.
You look at Georgia, also breaking in the young quarterback like Gunner Stockton that you referenced a moment ago. It feels to me just kind of being around Gunner Stockton. I know you've covered him as well, leading up to the playoff game he started and have covered him throughout the offseason. I get the sense, though, he's got a blue-collar feel to me. He feels like a Kirby Smart kind of guy that's tough, that it has some moxie, that will lower his shoulder and get the extra yard. And the team, when he went into the game against Texas last year, really responded in remarkable fashion. I think that can carry over into the offseason. We're going to see a different blue-collar type of team from Georgia this year. Can you get on board with that?
Yeah, I can get on board with the fact that Gunner Stockton comes off that, and I mean this as a compliment. He has that kind of lack of give a damn. Like, I don't give a damn about what you think. I don't give a damn that I look like an insurance salesman. I look 35 years old and I'm 22, whatever the case might be. He seems perfect for Georgia. Georgia needs a blue-collar guy leading their program because the last time they had that, they won a national championship and a player people wrote off for dead and Stetson Bennett, the walk-on, you know the story by now. You know, they get into these 4- and 5-star quarterbacks and for some whatever reason, it doesn't go as well as you thought. But he seems like the guy that's perfect because he does have that blue-collar mentality, but also a blue-collar type quarterback surrounded by stars, and they had a hell of a Portal Hall receiver. kind of what they lacked a year ago when they lost Ladd McConkey to the NFL, Brock Bowers. They bring in some talent out of the portal, and all that guy has to do, but all that guy's got to do, Gunner Stockton, get the ball to the playmakers. He's got a fire about him. He was a highly rated quarterback as well. Not to say that he wasn't coming out of high school, because he was, but he just doesn't come off that way. And Georgia, having not been in the national championship picture you don't think that they're ready? You don't think that Kirby has these guys saying, look, the Big Ten's won it the last 2 years. We've been on the bubble the last 2 years. Time to get it done. Georgia's going to, they are going to be one of those teams where you look and like, oh, hell, here comes Georgia again. And I think Gunner's got the perfect balance of talent, swagger, and blue collar that's going to make them one of the top 6-7 teams in the country.
Yeah, he does feel like a throwback, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the offense looks like with him at the helm. We'll move over to the favorite in the SEC, according to the media. That's Texas. You referenced Arch Manning. It feels like the hype is just it's impossible to compare to anything we've ever seen. You've been doing this a long time, dating back to your time in Dallas, covering Texas high school football on KDFW, I believe. What was it?
NBC DFW.
NBC DFW, whatever.
Yes.
Same thing. You've been covering, but you've covered Texas before. You know the landscape. Have you ever seen hype surrounding Texas like what we're seeing this year?
Yeah, I think the Vince Young era. I remember, Vince Young was one of the more perfect quarterback recruits coming out of the Houston area. And I think when people saw him come in, it's like, oh my gosh. Remember, that was a time now when Mac Brown was winning 10, 11 games a year. Mm-hmm. And they were turning out NFL talent left and right. They were the Alabama. They were the school that was going to win 10, 11 games. They were going to produce 5 or 6 first-round picks. It was always going to come down to the Oklahoma game for the Big 12 North and South, and it would then ultimately lead to a BCS berth, and that's where they had Texas years ago. Now, having said that, I think there would be hype around this team, even if his name was Arch Johnson. But it's not Arch Johnson. It's Arch Manning. And it seems to me, based on everything that I've heard, that he knows how to handle his last name. You can't control your last name. Do I think it's a little bit unfair for him to have to deal with all that? Well, yeah, because he's got Peyton, he's got Eli, he's got his grandfather. He has all of this stuff around him that he can't control other than playing. And so Texas has a lot of let me start by saying this. Sark has that thing back to what it was under Mac Brown, to where he's not recruiting, he's selecting. And so with that coming back, with Arch seemingly understanding his place in the world of college football, I'm not going to go all Paul Feinbaum on you with the Tim Tebow and the this, that, and the other, but they have that ability, and Arch has that name to take over college football for the next couple of years if he wants. But it's just an enormous amount of pressure. That's why I say it's kind of unfair. I just want to see the guy play good football first,
right,
before we start handing him the Heisman and making him the number 1 overall pick. I just want to see him play. I just want to see Arch. I don't want to see Manning. I just want to see Arch. And then when that happens and we let it cook for a little bit, which I know is funny to say because we never let anything cook, then we'll see what the kid has. But yeah, I don't see any reason why Texas isn't going to be 1, 2, or 3 in the SEC without even thinking about it.
So you already want to get to the point where he's like his uncles and his grandfather, where they're just on the first name basis. Not even the last name. Don't even need it. You got Archie, Peyton, and Eli. You don't even need the last name. You just want to be Arch, so he's next in line. Just add some more pressure to him, Maddie. Why don't you?
I'm trying to take the last name away from him to get rid of the pressure. To use his whatever the hell his middle name is, use that for the first one of the season.
Yeah, I don't know what his middle name is. We could probably
it should be like Arch Peyton or something. Like
Arch Peyton Eli. Yeah, that's probably exactly what it is. All right, moving on to the Big Ten. You are sitting right now in Columbus, Ohio, about to go play what should be a grueling round of golf with Joey Galloway. And we are sitting and looking at Michigan. We'll start with them, hoping for a bounce back. Defensively, I have a hard time envisioning them being quite as good. But offensively, I cannot imagine them being as bad as they were a year ago, especially at the quarterback spot. So from one freshman hype train quarterback in Arch Manning, a run rookie starter hype train in Arch, let's move over to Michigan.
Yeah.
Are the expectations real with what we might see from this new offense led by Chip Lindsey and the wonderkid quarterback that is hopefully the face of the program for many years to come?
And Bryce Underwood, I mean, you wanna think that, right? I mean, because Jim Harbaugh, when he was there, you just saw little by little what he was trying to build, and it all culminated in the national championship season because he had the right guys returning at the right time to make a run. And I point that out because it's hard right now. Yeah, you'd like to think Bryce is everything he's advertised and more. You'd like to think the new offense, you'd like to think Sharon Moore's figured it out, and you would like to believe that Michigan's now going to get back to where they belong among the not only the conferences but the country's elite. I just always have a hard time, Greg. I have a hard time finding a true freshman quarterback that can not only wow us, but in a power program like Michigan, from day one to day in game 14, 15, 16 nowadays, be the guy that elevates them back to the national championship conversation. I'm not saying it can't be done, and I'm not saying he's not capable of it. It's just hard to do. It's hard to do in a league that's won the last 2 national championships. And so Michigan will be a problem. I mean, hell, they've beaten Ohio State how many years in a row? 3, 4, 5 years, whatever the case might be, they've beaten them, even when Ohio State went on to win the national championship. So it's tough. And I believe that Michigan at some point under Bryce Underwood's going to be back near the top for me, for a true freshman to do it from snap one to the final snap of the season. It's just so tough to do. But I wouldn't balk at a 9-3, 10-2 season. I really wouldn't.
That'd be a tremendous bounce back year for Sharon Moore. Even though he won 8 last year, it felt very, very unimpressive through the first.
I disagree. I disagree. I think Michigan, and we go on a whole tangent about preseason rankings. Look at who Michigan lost to the NFL.
Oh, no question.
So there was 8 and I had him at like 7-5, 6. There was no way they were going to do better than that. None, because of everything that they lost. And so to assume that they were just going to be the Michigan that won the national title before, that was just short-sighted and naive. Now you give them a chance to rebuild. It took Harbaugh how many years to get it to that point? It doesn't just happen overnight. So I think just like the Napier situation, I think the record was impressive considering what was going on.
Totally fair. We'll go to Ohio State. I feel like we've kind of gotten to the point, and it's almost annual with a handful of programs. We just give them the benefit of the doubt. But much like Michigan the year before, they lost so much production off of last year's team. Now they bring back Jeremiah Smith. They bring back Caleb Downs. They bring back a lot of capable pieces along the offensive line. I like their linebackers. Like, there's stuff to like. But there's also legitimate reason for concern, and yet I look at all these preseason top 5 rankings, and Ohio State sits there somewhere between 3 and 5 on just about everybody's ranking. So is the hype surrounding Ohio State just bouncing back and having no drop-off justified?
Well, let's just look at the conversation we just had about Michigan coming off a national championship. They've got to replace the quarterback. I know this Julian Sayin kid was one of the top 3 quarterback prospects in the country, originally committed to Alabama and then transferred in. I get all that. I think Jeremiah Smith's the best player in college football, and it's frightening that we have him for 2 more years. But yeah, I mean, like Ryan Day, and Caleb Downs is back on defense. Ryan Day built that thing for last year. I mean, he did. That team, everybody coming, it was built and set up to do what they did last year, which is why so many people were disappointed during the season, especially after the loss to Michigan, that all of this money that went into this roster and the homegrown guys that were returning weren't going to get it done, except for they did. They won the national championship. Now all of that is gone. Yes, Ohio State gets the benefit of the doubt year in and year out because they have as much talent as anyone in the country. But talent also takes time. And I know they have key returners coming back in key places, but Ohio State the quarterback's going to need, whoever wins that job, and I think it's going to be Julian Sayin, whoever wins that job is going to need a little bit of time. Travion Henderson's gone. Quinshad Judkins is gone. That backfield's going to need a little bit of time. Chip Kelly's gone to the NFL. That adjustment's going to take a little bit of time. Based on the paper, yeah, Ohio State's one of the top 10 teams in the country without any question. Can that gel enough with everything that's gone and rebuild to the point where they're in the national championship conversation? We're going to find out early, and we'll know soon enough. But again, ranking and looking at teams based on last year's bona fides relative to returning starters is a dangerous proposition.
Yeah, especially in the modern era for sure. And knowing how they've stockpiled talent for years. I don't think there's a drop-off. I just don't know if it'll be a ceiling that is as high as what we saw last year, especially in the playoff run. All right, we'll get you out west. Get you comfortably before
real quick. Galloway puts the tea time, so we're good. My point on the Big Ten, real quick, before we move on, they're set up to win the third straight national championship.
For sure, but it's with neither of the two teams that we talked about already. It's with Penn State.
Okay, but look at that. Look at what I said about Michigan and how Harbaugh was trending that way. And then in the right year, at the right time, with the right group of guys, Blake Corum, J.J. McCarthy, that whole group, they went on a national championship run 2 years ago. Ohio State last year, right group, right kind of guy, plug and play Will Howard at quarterback. They had the right people back to go to a national championship run. Penn State is loaded. And we've seen this team now for 2 years, right? We've seen the Drew Allers and the Singletons and the K-Tron. We've seen this team. This is year 3 of that team following the model of Michigan and Ohio State. My only question mark for Penn State is, do they have the chest to break through? Does Drew Aller have what it takes to break through? Because I'm telling you, if you look at the previous 2 national championships, it's the exact same thing. Year 3 of a talented team. Will they be able to break through? I think Penn State is one of the top 2-3 teams to watch in the country.
Yeah, I think the team to beat in the Big Ten right now. And while you got to go prove it, got to go do it. You got Oregon, you're on the road at Ohio State. I think they have the pieces to go with the continuity they've established. And Jim Knowles being there, understanding Ohio State inside and out. You also have Andy Kotelnicki, OC, in year 2. I just think the stars have aligned for Penn State. Now it's about going and doing it. And
that's it.
Until they do it, it's going to be hard to trust them, but I happen to see if it's not now, then when. Yeah. When it comes to the Nittany Lions this year. There's one other team I do want to ask you about out west, and that's not Oregon, believe it or not. I like Oregon. We'll see what they are, but there are some unknowns surrounding some of the guys that are filling voids from last year. But it's USC. And I am starting to get real high on the Trojans. I look at how close they were last year. I look at the moments in the games that they had right there in their grasp, only see it slip away. I look at the one-score games. I look at the quarterback play and how it progressed as the season went along, with Mayava getting more comfortable in the final 4 games. I happen to think SC is going to be a player this year. I think they're a legitimate college football playoff contender. I think they have an argument to be made to be in the top 10 in the preseason. Where are you right now with the USC Trojans?
I know why you're high on them, because no one's talking about them.
Yeah.
USC, when they're not talking, literally just think about that for a minute. When's the last time we brought up Lincoln Riley and USC? Legitimately. When have they been talked about in the last 6 months? They haven't. Well, why is that? Because people have put them in a corner in the Big Ten, because we're talking about Oregon, we're talking about Ohio State, we're talking about Penn State, we're talking about Michigan, we're talking about all these teams that over the past few years have put themselves out there on a national championship run, none of them being USC. And so USC left the league they dominated in the Pac-12, where we would talk about him every year because he was the best team in the league along with Oregon. Well, now they're in the Big Ten. Regionally, it makes 0 sense. So they're kind of being forgotten about. And that's when USC is scary. When people give them little to nothing to deal with, and you kind of just do some research. Oh, Lincoln Riley got that guy. Always recruiting well. Always got the quarterback coming back. Oh, he made a change for defensive coordinator. He did all of this stuff, and it's just quiet because LA's got other stuff to deal with. And the college football hotbeds aren't going to LA. They're kind of hanging out in the South, hanging out up here in Columbus and in the upper Midwest. That's what they do. And so when USC isn't being discussed, but yet they've been doing their work and Lincoln Riley's been making the necessary changes, I'm with you. They're a team that's going to come out and be like, oh, hell, USC's awake again. Because they dominated the Pac-12 for years. They were that conference. Now they went into a conference where they're not that conference. They're the third or fourth team in that conference, fifth team maybe. And so that's when you get them. That's when you get their best. That's when you get an opportunity to really see what Lincoln Riley's built. And I'll say this for him, he's one of the best offensive minds in the country. But USC brought him to win playoff games and national championships. Like Brian Kelly entering year 4, what's going to happen? I mean, what will happen with what USC is bringing to the table? But it's just funny because I've always said this about them. When you sit there and kind of think they're going to have a down year or you're not really talking about them, you're going to hear that damn fight song more than you want. They're going to pop up and get a lot of teams this year.
They're going to score a lot of points. I know that. I think defensively, they can just improve slightly from where they were a year ago. They made a huge jump last year, a little more improvement on that side.
I agree.
It would be a huge problem. All right, we'll get you out of here with this. Your alma mater.
Yeah.
The Fighting Forks, the Arizona State Sun Devils. And honestly, the more we sat there at Big 12 Media Days, we had long discussions about this, hours upon hours on the desk, and then hours upon hours after we got off the desk talking about ball. But the more I look at the Big 12, the more I feel like Arizona State has a complete stranglehold on kind of the rest of the league. Like, I think they are by far the team to beat this year. And while their schedule is more challenging, the more I dive in, the more I start to really like the continuity that returns. And I think the gap that exists, we talked competitive balance all throughout that week at Big 12 Media Days. I don't know if there is any. I think it's Arizona State's league to lose. And I'm not sure at this point that it's close. Am I right or am I wrong in that assessment?
Yeah, I mean, they're the team to beat. They've got 22 returning starters, and they've got the quarterback back in Sam Levitt. And so they're the team to beat. Now, are they head and shoulders above everybody else? I'd say they're the top team with some margin. But I do think a team like Kansas State's going to be a tough out. I think a team like Iowa State's going to be a tough out. And I think a team like Baylor is going to be a tough out. And so ASU, no one thought they were going to do what they did last year. Not one human being, even me, Mr. Sparky, I was like 11-5, 8-4, I'll be happy. We're trending in the right direction. They should have the expectations that everyone else does. And I would say it would be a letdown if they weren't back into the college football playoff. Based on what they have coming back. And I know everybody, Camp Scatterboot. I'm just telling you, the running back room at Arizona State is deeper and better this year than it was last year. Because the star is gone, I get the sentiment behind it. But what Kenny's built out there, ASU was the darling of college football this year. That's not going to be the case last year. That's not going to be the case this year. They're the favorite. And I think they have an opportunity to not only go on a run, but be one of those teams we're talking about mid-October, early November that's a bona fide top 5 team in the country because they have everything coming back and they have the swagger of their head coach who's modeled by the swagger of their quarterback, and it's going to be fun to watch. The Big 12 is theirs to lose. It would be a disappointment if they didn't win it again, and I'm with you. I think in far the teams out west – Look at. I mean, here's another rant, but whatever. Imagine the Pac-12 right now with Arizona State, USC, and Oregon, and year 2 at Jed Fish, and Utah always coming to hit you in the mouth, and BYU would have fit perfectly in there, and Colorado. I mean, it's a travesty for the sport, but nonetheless, the Pac-12 could produce another conference champion. You got Oregon with Dante Moore coming up. Arizona State's going to be good. It's going to be a fun season to watch.
It's going to be great. Matty, awesome stuff, man. Always great to visit. Go low today and take all Galloway's money, and there's plenty of it, that's for sure.
Let me ask you just a hypothetical question.
Yes.
If you were hosting someone at your club, would you text them to bring money to pay for their guest fee?
That is a no. If you're my guest, you do not pay. It's disrespectful to pay.
Galloway, bring $200 cash because you can't pay there, and you know I don't do Venmo. What a guy.
Not surprising with 60 million in career earnings. But yeah, bring that 150 for the trouble. Great stuff today. And since we have the best producer in the world, Mark Kubiak tells me that it's Archibald Charles Manning.
Archibald Charles. You know what? In college football final, until I'm going to give him all of September, he's going to be Archibald Charles. And then after that, after I've seen a body of work, I will then put the Manning on him.
And maybe once you get beyond that body of work, you just drop Manning altogether. It's just Archie, or just Arch. That could be it.
At some point that's coming.
Yeah, no doubt. Matty, great stuff as always, man. Enjoyed it.
Talk soon.
That'll do it for us here at Always College Football. Continue to encourage all of you guys to check us out on the podcast, download the podcast, subscribe to the podcast. You can rate, you can leave a review, whatever it is you want. We continue to look forward to providing you with some exciting content here in the next few weeks to lead up to week 1 or week 0 of the college football season. Keep it posted right here on Monday, where we will reveal our top 25. You don't want to miss that show. It's one of our most anticipated shows of the entire season, and we will do that on Monday edition of Always College Football. So keep it locked in here. Keep it locked in on ESPN's College Football YouTube page. Keep it locked in on the podcast. So for all of us here at ACF, for Mark, Jake, Jack, the other Jack, for Sam, the intern, I'm Greg. We hope you have an amazing day, and remember, it's always college football. Hey guys, it's Greg McElroy. Thanks for watching Always College Football. Make sure you like, rate, and subscribe to ESPN's YouTube channel and wherever you listen to your podcasts.